Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all the new releases in November that I'm really anticipating. This time I'm going to be talking about 8 of them. They are all romance, and then there's a few that I think I'm just including just because I think they're going to be very popular or more anticipated releases from other people. Just I have not read the series or something like that, so that's why they're not on my personal list, but I'm still going to include them in the video, but just like a briefer description. But anyways, without further ado, let's hop into the video. So we're going to start in release order, and the first book is releasing on November 1st. So it is Snowed In by Catherine Walsh. I haven't read any of Catherine Walsh's previous Christmas books, but I've heard really good things about all of them, and so I really want to read this one, and it does fun Christmas book. So this one is obviously Christmas, holiday, and also fake dating. So it follows Christian and Megan, who grew up together in the same small town. And actually the last time they saw each other was when Megan was running away from her wedding. And so 5 years later, they run into each other at a bar and they end up chatting, and they're both really dreading to go back to their hometown for Christmas. Decide to go back as a fake couple, just to make it a little more bearable. The next book that I want to talk to you about is He's Not My Type by Megan Quinn. This is the 4th book in the Vancouver Agitator series. It releases November 6th, and the tropes in it are roommates, rom-com, and it's obviously a hockey romance just like all the other ones. But I have not seen a description. I looked on their on Instagram and stuff like that and I couldn't find one anywhere, so I don't fully know I don't even know who this one is following of the hockey players, but I have loved all 3 of the previous books, so I'm sure I'm gonna love this one, and I'm really excited to pick it up when it comes out. Okay, and the next couple of books are all releasing on November 7th. The first one that I just want to briefly mention is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This is the 2nd book in the Empyrean series, first following Fourth Wing. I've still yet to pick Fourth Wing up, so I did not want to read the synopsis, but I know this is a really highly anticipated release for a lot of people, so I did want to briefly mention it. But the next book that is on my most anticipated list is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This is the first book in the Lakefront Billionaire series. I just started her other Billionaire series, and so when I saw that she was coming out with another Billionaire series, I knew I was definitely going to want to pick it up. So the tropes in this one are obviously billionaire, also childhood rivals to lovers, and it is in a small town. So this one follows Julian and Dahlia, and when Dahlia comes back into town, Julian is planning on totally ignoring her and staying away. They grew up together because their moms are really good friends, but his mom ends up telling him that she's been having a really hard time and she's lost a lot of her creative spark as an interior decorator. Dahlia is going through a hard time because she recently broke off an engagement, and so she's looking for something to just distract her for a little while. And so Julian comes up with the idea that they should flip this historic house together and try and triple the profits kind of deal. Julian is trying to get this project done as soon as possible so that Dahlia will have her creative spark back and leave town again, but he soon realizes that he doesn't actually want her to leave town, even though it is definitely not in Dahlia's plan to fall in love again. The next book is Hunt on Dark Waters by Katie Roberts. This is the first book in her new series, Crimson Sails. This one sounds so fun. Make sure you go check out her Instagram because she's been teasing this a lot. So it is a fantasy romance. It's paranormal with witches and pirates, and it's also got a bit of a romantic suspense element. Evelyn is a witch and she steals from her vampire ex and goes through a portal to another realm where she's rescued in the ocean by pirates and their telekinetic captain, and she's given a choice: either join them or die. Captain Bowen and his crew are bound by a vow to protect the magical sea and the portals throughout it in order to keep the other world safe. But as tension rises between the captain and Evelyn, danger is also arising. So sounds like it's going to be really like very different story, and I'm really excited to see what Katie Robert does with it, because I know it's going to be super steamy, super spicy, just like all of her other books, but it does have a very fun fantasy element as well. The next book is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is her first YA book, although I have heard that the characters are actually between 18 and 20, which I don't consider YA. I consider that more NA, so do with that information as you will. Maybe you still consider it YA, or I'm not sure. Some of the tropes are rivals to lovers and friends to lovers. So Mallory, or Mal, is she is a girl who just absolutely loved chess growing up, and she was really good at it. But when she turns 14, her life just becomes a mess. She's got a lot of family issues going on, so she decides to stop playing chess for good. But 4 years later, her best friend convinces her to play in a charity match where, for some reason, the best chess player in the world is playing, and they end up playing each other, and Mallory actually wins. So there's a whole new world of chess opening up for Mallory, and she has to decide whether she's going to keep playing chess. She's got a lot of conflicting emotions that she's got to deal with, and she's also starting to grow attached to someone who she definitely hated at first. So this one sounds like it's going to be really good. Ali Hazelwood does like enemies or rivals to lovers really well, so I'm excited to see how this one goes. Okay, the last book that's releasing on November 7th is The Good Part by Sophie Cosens. This one sounds really intriguing, especially for where I am in my life right now. So it is, some of the tropes are like, it's got a magical realism time travel element to it, and it's basically very similar to like 13 going on 30 kind of plot. So Lucy is a woman in her mid-20s. She's broke, she's like feeling really stuck, and she just wants to find love and skip to the good part of her life. So she's presented with the opportunity from a wishing machine to travel into the future to finally get to a look at the good part of her life. But is it everything that she always wanted, or is it not like she was expecting? I'm very intrigued by this one, just because I'm getting into my late 20s, and it's just like things like this feel just really, I don't want, like nostalgic almost to me. I don't know, but it's definitely just interesting. I'm really interested to read this one. Okay, the next book that I quickly just want to mention is The Rules of Dating My One Night Stand by Penelope Ward and V.I. Keeland. This releases November 12th, and it is the third book in their Law of Opposites Attract series. There isn't a description yet, but I love them as a duo. I haven't read the first two books in this series, that's why it's not on my like most anticipated list, but if you have been reading this series, let me know what you think, because I am definitely interested in potentially picking it up. The next book is Do Your Worst by Rosie Danan. This releases November 14th. It is a paranormal enemies to lovers fantasy romance. It follows Riley, who is a curse breaker, and she's following in her grandmother's footsteps. She's sent to break the curse at Arden Castle so that it can become a tourist destination. But she doesn't expect that the man that she kisses on her first night in Scotland to be the archaeologist that she needs to work with for the project. Clark, who is a professional archaeologist, needs to prove to his dad that he isn't playing around. He vows to avoid Riley to her face, and unfortunately it turns out that Riley has the opposite motive. So Clark needs to get out ASAP. But what will happen when they do their worst, which is the title of the story, to each other? Or will the cursed castle have other plans for them? This one sounds really interesting, very unique. I didn't read Rosie Danan's other series, The Roommate, but I did hear really good things, so I am really interested in hearing and picking this one up. Although it is a little late for spooky season, I still feel like I will maybe want to read a few paranormal romances maybe in November, so this one is a good option. Okay, the next two books are both by authors that I really am intrigued and want to read more of, or start reading their books, and I know that they're going to be very highly anticipated releases by other people, but I have not read the series, so I don't know if I will end up picking these books up. The first one is After the Storm by Laura Pavlov. This is the fifth and final book in her Cottonwood Cove series, and it releases November 16th. He's a grumpy single dad, and she's the one who got away. They haven't seen each other in years, but now they're stuck in a hotel room together and there's only one bed. So it's got a ton of really great tropes: grumpy sunshine, single dad, one bed, forced proximity. Maybe we'll even get some now and then timelines. We'll see. And the second one is Make Believe Match by Melanie Harlow. This releases November 20th, and it is the third book in her Cherry Tree Harbor series. The tagline for this one is "Fall in love with my enemy? No way. Marry him to save my family's struggling ski resort? That's a different story." So it sounds like it might be an arranged marriage, and enemies to lovers. We'll see how that, if it's true enemies or not, or if it'll be more like a hate to love story, but I'm still intrigued by it regardless. I just would need to read the first 2 books in this series if I was to pick it up. And last but not least is Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This releases on November 28th. It is another YA book where people are comparing these to Better Than the Movies, which I absolutely loved that book. I thought it was so cute and so well done. So I'm really intrigued by this one. It's also forced proximity and fake dating. So it follows Charlie and Bailey, who meet at an airport, and their personalities just immediately clash. Bailey can't believe she's stuck sitting beside such an obnoxious, opinionated boy, and Charlie can't believe the girl sitting beside him is so uptight. So a couple years later, they end up working together, and amongst their bickering and banter, they bond over the fact that both of their divorced parents now have new partners, which they absolutely hate, and how much it is ruining their lives. So in a plot to disrupt Bailey's mom's new relationship, Bailey and Charlie go on a fake dating scheme, but obviously real feelings get quickly involved. Okay, everyone, those are the books that I'm most anticipating that are releasing in November. If I missed any that you're really anticipating, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear. Subscribe if you're not already, and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps support my channel, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.